Welcome everybody to Cultivating Conversations. It's your host here, Farmer Jazz. I'm here today with my moms, Cadre and Turner. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing, mommy?
I'm doing fine, son. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm glad I could have you onto my podcast. Um, my mom has definitely been an inspiration. She is a core of a lot of what I do, giving back to the community, building family. Um, just a lot of what she embodies is what I like to take forward into the world, and a lot of what you guys see in me. Um, a lot of people don't know you, mommy. So can you start off with sharing who you are and what you do?
I go by Sister Cadrian. I'm a Christian, and I do community outreach in the Dorchester area of Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up. I grew up in. I was born in Roxbury, raised in Mattapan, and we raised our family here in Dorchester.
All right, that's a good about your background. Thank you for sharing that. You do a lot of community work. Could you do us a favor and share with the listeners some of that community work you've done in the past and what you're doing right now?
For this year, we'll be celebrating our ninth annual Community Revitalization Block Party here on Vesta Road. Uh, I've been living on Vesta Road for about 31 years. And when I moved here, there was a lot of issues here. There was prostitution, high drug trafficking. The police were constantly here. There were fights. There was also just neighbors who had lived here for long periods of time that really didn't interact with one another. And as a result of the block party, we were able to come together and be more like a family, looking out for each other. And when the street sweepers come, we go around to make sure no one gets towed uh, whenever possible. We started out cleaning the street, and then we moved on to the block party, and now we're just neighbors who are looking to make a difference here on Vesta Road and in Dorchester and the city of Boston.
Thank you for that
Um,
share. A lot of one of the things that you guys don't know about my mom is like she's always one of the first to arrive and one of the last to leave. And one of the things she's always said is like you leave places better than you left them, and she does that in a lot of the work that she does. If you could do us a favor and share kind of what is the mission and vision of a lot of the work that you do in the community, and how did you come to focus on advocacy, arts, and community building?
as a child, I grew up on Hazleton Street, and at the end of Hazleton Street was the library. And I was constantly at the library where I developed a love for arts and crafts and also for documentaries and for lifelong learning and just being actively engaged in the community. I was also raised in a family who was actively engaged in the community as a youngster. My sisters and I and my cousin, we were campfire girls, and my mom and my aunt were our campfire leaders. We were also a part of the Christian Youth Center, where my mom and my aunt, again, were actively involved. They went to camp with us, and they were our cooks. So, imagine having soul food at camp. It was just wonderful having them there. And
Very,
that's how I uh, became actively involved in the community through my family and also through the Boston Public Library in the
yeah,
career
and
center as well.
that's been a tradition that she's definitely passed on to us, involving us in a lot of programs like Paul Robeson. We also were part of our churches, Saturdays, homework clubs at the church, all types of events at the church and in the community. We were always doing volunteer work and always giving back to the community. As a child, it was always a little bit annoying because you want to chill with your friends, but as you grow up, you see how it grooms you into being well mannered child and a person that grows up to be an adult that looks into investing into the community. And that leads me into my next set of questions. which are about your community advocacy. Can you describe some of the advocacy work that you do for the community, and what issues are you most passionate about addressing?
Well, one of the primary issues that I'm most passionate about is workplace bullying and mobbing, which is an epidemic here in the city of Boston, throughout this nation, and out into other countries as well. So that's something that I'm passionate about because, if we don't have um, fun, if we don't have a job to provide for our families, then that creates a downward spiral. So that's my primary passion. I also am involved in housing advocacy. I'm currently working with two single parents who have some issues relating to housing. I'm also working with a young lady as it relates to a probate case, and it's pretty interesting. And so, it's something that I'm really interested in. I love the legal aspect of doing the community work.
Yeah, with community work, there's a lot of things that come with that. It's definitely a fulfilling task, but there are some challenges that come with doing the community work. And my next question is, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in your advocacy efforts, and how do you work to overcome them?
Well, some of the greatest challenges is having our elected officials respond and to do their part. That's the major issue that I have. And also just other members of the community actually doing their part. I look forward to the day when we all will take on our responsibility and just do our part. And then those who usually show up won't have to do so much.
Yeah, that is one of the toughest things about community efforts is getting in the community to actually uh, build from the start. Like a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, and it seems like in the community, one of the toughest issues is, people want to show up to the party, but they don't want to help put it together. But everybody benefits from them. But at the end of the day, there is an impact that is made, whether you have the people that come along with you from the beginning, or they come um, for the events, or they just benefit from the advocacy, because that is the purpose of helping individuals. You're helping people who really can't help themselves. And my next question is, can you share any specific instances where your advocacy and work has made significant impact on individuals in the community or for the community as a whole?
Well, as I previously mentioned, the block party where neighbors previously didn't speak to one another, and there was just a lot of chaos on the street. There's still work to be done, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. We're more like a family looking out for each other. I also um, I also campaigned for City Councilor at Large Julia Mejia when she won by one vote. I also campaigned for Pastor Donald Osgood on two occasions. So that's also something that I'm passionate about because I want to make sure that I do my part to get people in office who are actually going to do the work as opposed to people who show up for photo ops and things like that. One of the things that I'm currently working on is circulating the city of Boston's they have kind of like a, I guess you can call it a survey where they're looking for feedback from the constituents of Boston to as it relates to $2 million, what to do with the $2 million to make the city of Boston better. And so I'm just feverishly sharing that so that we could get more and more input. One of the things that I suggested was the fact that we need legal representation from the beginning of our case until to the end. Having experienced that, I know that that's something that we definitely need in order to begin to affect change because we're not lawyers, And so we need our elected appointed elected and appointed officials to pass legislation so that we can have that legal representation that they can rely on as well, based on our tax dollars.
Yeah, it's definitely very important, especially given the climate that we are in. Um, we're in presidential season where a lot of people are going to be gearing up to go vote. This type of advocacy helps individuals get the information out there about certain individuals, also supporting those individuals that are there to do the work. So, one, I want to say thank you for that, for the community, for putting that work in. And I want to transfer over to some of the art and your community engagement and community building. Um, my next question is, how do you use arts and crafts and face painting as a tool to build that type of engagement, build the community? And
Uh,
how do these activities foster community spirit and involvement?
well, for a number of years, my sister, who has passed away, she used to have the contract with the city of Boston, and I often helped her out with the face painting. She was one of the popular face painters in the city of Boston. And so our line was constantly, we were the first ones there and usually the last ones to leave, as you previously mentioned. And the children as well as the adults love the face painting. So that's one way of promoting art. I also incorporate art in my as I promote awareness of community issues. I usually try to incorporate as many different forms of art as possible. Um, yes.
Yeah, and one thing I always remember as a child was when my mom was going to college at UMass Boston. She always had a bunch of different paint drawings and paintings, and she was always super creative with how she did it. One that always sticks in my head was she had a charcoal painting of just some simple toothbrush and toothpaste. But one thing that she used to like jazz it up is a black and white charcoal. She put a strip of toothpaste on the painting to give it its own little dash of flavor, if you can call it that. And yeah, my mom's always been a creative person, and it led me to even get into the arts and drawing myself, painting and acrylics. I actually happened to um, win win an award at my high school at the time, Lexington High School. As I did a acrylic painting of a tiger, and my teacher thought it was so beautifully painted. She actually she suggested that I enter a contest. I really wasn't interested in it. I was just doing it for passion, and she went ahead and entered my painting into the contest without me.
Was
I
that
didn't end
Miss
up winning,
Poor?
but it wasn't Miss Poor.
Oh,
It was Miss. I believe her name was Miss Bell,
oh, okay.
and it was always encouraging and to see someone else seeing talent that I've really seen as a pastime, that kind of picked up from watching you and also learning some techniques from her as well. My next question is on arts and healing because we know communities that we lived in: Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, the inner city of Boston really need healing. How do you see arts and crafts contributing to the healing and well-being of community members, especially in these challenging times?
I see it as a way of a form of self care. I know when I paint or whatever art form that I'm working with, it just takes me to another place, and it's very relaxing.
Yeah, I definitely can totally agree with that. Usually, when I start painting as well, I really never really have any goal in mind. I might start with a picture of something that gives me some type of inspiration, but I'll throw in some music and You know, when I have a pastime, I used to always like to doodle. One of the things I used to deal with in grade school was being bored in class, and in between all my notes, you could always see drawings and doodles because that's what I used to do when I get bored. I'd draw, whether it's like some graffiti art, some animals, some Dragon Ball Z characters. Um, in between my notes will always be some images of different characters that I enjoyed. And you know, I grew up. I have ADHD, and that was just a way that I was able to no longer be like the a class clown or be disruption to the class because instead of not needing to um, listen anymore in the class because I'd already consumed the information. It was a time where I started to do something else creative and let my creative juices flow, so I wouldn't be a distraction to other people. So I definitely see arts as a healing form and therapeutic, definitely, in a way to just let your creative juices flow. And what are you gonna say?
I was gonna. Oh, go ahead. You finish with what you was
No,
gonna
I'm
say.
finished.
Okay. Something that came to mind. I remember also when I was raising you and Jada, our house was very much set up like a classroom, and that's something that I found to be really interesting because I wanted you all's mind to always be engaged in learning and yes, engaged in learning, and so our house was set up like a classroom.
Yeah, it definitely is true. Set up like a classroom and ran like a classroom. Before we could even get to any TV time, we had to read books, have all our homework done. And even when TV time came, there were like certain things we couldn't watch. I always wanted to watch The Simpsons, but that was a banned TV show in our household, so I got used to watching the Nature Channel and and
It's Seven Heaven.
enjoying those type of Seven Heaven and those type of shows that were more enriching and you can learn some things from. So learning was definitely always a thing in our house. One of the things I always remember were at the end of the year with Metco, they always had a for reading books.
Mhm.
Me and my siblings, we always would that award a guarantee for us. Reading a book was a guarantee. Like we had to read a book. Like every single week, we were going to the library to pick out new books, and just racking up those numbers of books we read during the summer was always a way that we guarantee got those trophies, and we're one of the people on the stage for reading the most books that year, and it definitely helped with our education. Learning and listening to a bunch of different books on a bunch of different topics. It led to us, being annually honor roll students, and that learning atmosphere, that creative atmosphere, led to the success that we had in school. But with that being said, I want to move on to the Vesta Road Community Block Party. This has been something you've been doing for. This is going to be the ninth edition of the Vesta Road Block Party. Am I correct?
Yes, this is our ninth annual. It's called the ninth annual Community Revitalization Block Party. That title came to me one word at a time. So I like to believe that it was divinely inspired because it truly speaks to what um, what's in my heart, and also what we're promoting here through the block party, community
Yes.
revitalization block party, to revitalize
Yes.
the community.
So the Vesta Road Community Revitalization Block Party is a significant event. It's usually held towards the end of the summer every year. Um, I want you to share what inspired you to start this event and how has it evolved over the years.
Um, as a member of Morning Star Baptist Church years ago, Bishop Borders called for us to go out into the community and to reclaim a space. And so it was only natural for me to come home to the street where we lived, where there was so much going on. And I approached the neighbors to see if they would be interested in having a block party. And everyone immediately signed on. We used our own funds, and we started the block party that way. And as time went on, we got feedback from support, I should say, from the city of Boston and from neighbors, from different establishments around the neighborhood, from family members. Also, all of my offspring were very supportive, which I'm so thankful for, and just family members as well. So it's been a joyous occasion, and I'm just really getting hyped the closer we get to the block party. I'm getting really excited, and the neighbors on the street are getting excited. Today, we pulled out the banner that says Vesta Road Block Party, and so we're cleaning it up so we can hang it up so that it'll look nice on the street the day of the block party.
Yeah, and I definitely remember when you first got this started, just seeing the changes in the community. Just as you said, we grew up on a community. It had a family S vibe, but a lot of the things in the city, it seems like, people live in their dwelling and really don't communicate much outside of that. They go to work, spend time with their family inside. But when we were kids, we were all outside, and that kind of way of life has kind of gone away. And I feel like this is a great opportunity to kind of bring some of that back to the community, to let people get back outside, the cookouts, which we don't see as much anymore, or just people being outside, sharing time with one another. There's always music and dancing. There's bouncy houses for the kids. So there's something for everyone there to enjoy. The elders are there talking with one another. The young children, they come out, they're playing with one another. Um, Even some of the old people that used to live on the street, they come back and support. So definitely have seen some of the growth over the years. And my next question
I'd like to just
is,
add something
yeah,
to that. Also, one of the things that inspired the block party was the memorials that once lined the street. It seemed like they were on every corner, and I was very concerned about the memorials because as an adult, they troubled me. So I was concerned about the youth whose brains had not developed yet, and just passing by those memorials on a daily basis, whether they were going to school or wherever they were going. And I firmly believe that they contributed to some of the behavioral issues that some of the youth in our community were were experiencing. And so that was a big thing that also inspired the block party as well. And I'm thankful to see that today the memorials are not as they're not as prevalent as they used to be. So the work that we're doing as a community, we're actually making progress, and I'm thankful to hear. I'm thankful for that.
yeah, I remember as a kid at the bus stop by the Happy's Pizza store. It was almost annual around this time that there'd be a memorial right outside Happy's. And at first, it was a little spooky as a child because you're looking at it like, oh, someone died here, and it's kind of scary because it's gang violence, gun violence, which is a big issue in the city. But one of the things that I think is was scarier as I gotten older and think about is how that just became something that was like normalized. Like we
Yeah.
just knew that someone was gonna die on that corner every year, which is also good to see that that's not no longer there, um, or there in abundance like it used to be. So I definitely agree with you on that sentiment.
Now that
But I
you
want, what were
Now
you
that
saying?
you mentioned that, something else comes to mind. There's a documentary that I saw at the main office, the main library, Copley Library, This Ain't Normal. So for those who have not seen it, I highly recommend that you look up this documentary and look at it, because we don't want to normalize the violence in our community. We deserve better, and uh, and I'm hoping that we as a community can work together to do our part to improve our community, because we definitely deserve better.
Yeah, and I think events like these block parties and community engagements help bring those numbers down, because you start to come together and see that it's kind of like a family. Your community is your extended family. I know in your time, like a lot of the people that we call cousins are not blood cousins, but they're just people that you grew up with in your community. And the more we start to act like a community, the more we start seeing that we
That's
each are family.
that's
And it leads to my next question. What are some of the main goals of the block party, particularly in terms of combating the violence and promoting unity in the community?
Well, this year we're actually dedicating the block party to our brothers, because we want to show our brothers that we love them and that we support them. And as I grow in my Christian walk, I'm learning more and more, what the order of things are according to God. There's God, then there's the man, then there's the woman, then there's children, then there's community. And so it was impressed upon my heart within the last, I think it was the last 2 weeks or so, to dedicate this block party to our brothers, because we just want to know, we want you to know that we love you, we're here to support you, and that's what we're doing. So a couple of the things that we're incorporating is we're working to incorporate a facilitator to talk about prostate cancer, also an organization that we went to check in with today, who works with fathers to help them after they've been incarcerated, to also help them if they have issues seeing their children, because we also want to knock down that barrier of fathers not being able to access their children, because it's important that dad pours into the child, and mom. Mom brings something that dad doesn't. Dad brings something that mom doesn't. And when one of those relationships is missing, then that impacts the child. So we want our youth and our families to be more cohesive, and yeah, to be more cohesive and according to the order that God has established.
Oh, that's fantastic. And shout out to all the brothers in the community. Shout out to you for making a way to support and give them honor on this day. Um, what are some of the things that individuals can expect to experience or see at the block party?
Well, one of the things that we're working on is a bringing a young man who's going to teach the young people or whoever's interested in how to play chess, because one of the benefits of learning to play chess is strategic thinking, critical thinking, that adds to improved enhanced academics. We have to bring that in again. So that's one of the things that we're bringing in. We're also going to have some good music. We're planning to have a drummer to um, open the block party after prayer. We have a minister on our street who's going to pray the block party, open the block party with a prayer, and then we'll have the drummer play. We're actually taking it back to when I was a child. We're going to have chalk where the kids can write on the street. We're planning to have jump ropes, hula hoops, good food, of course, and we're having resource tables. We have a young lady who works at a disability organization, and she's going to provide some resources as it relates to disability. Also, as I mentioned, the prostate cancer, which is very important because that's something that really affects our black men in particular. What else are we going to have? We're also having a fire truck come by. Usually, when the fire truck comes by, it's usually for something unpleasant. So this time, the fire truck is coming so that the young people and the adults can push buttons and ask questions and possibly consider becoming a firefighter. And a couple of years back, we had the EMS, we also had a cruiser, and we also had the fire truck. So we want to see these public service vehicles in a different light from what we normally see them.
Right, and that's amazing that you're having all of that there. So it's just not just food and vibes. It seems like it's food, education, community, outdoor activities, everything that embodies the old school block parties that we used to have. And I find it interesting that you bring up the chess, because as you bring up chess, it just reminds me of the Tuesdays we used to go to the library to get books, and I really wasn't a fan of books. I always thought books were kind of boring. But one of the things that always got me excited to go to the library was the chess. There was a gentleman there that taught individuals how to play chess, and never really thought about chess like that. Um, when you talk about critical thinking and being strategic, I just seen it. I'm a competitive person, so the first time I went there, I got spanked, and it was just something that drove me to go back. And just like, nah, next time I go there, I got to get me a win. And I haven't played chess in quite some time, but I definitely remember as a kid, when I first learned how to play chess, I didn't really think about all the strategy and how it kind of changes how you think about things, because every move you kind of thinking a few moves ahead. And I kind of carry that out in life where I don't make any move with haste. Definitely think about every move that I make, and it's cool that you're bringing that to the block party.
Yeah, there's a movie. I can't think of the name of it, but I know Cuba Goodings stars in it. It's something to do with the word king, and so I was inspired by that as well, because he established a club for urban youth to play chess and to compete in a different way, and to also change the mindset of the youngsters. And it was just it's an amazing movie, so I highly recommend that movie too. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name, but it's Cuba Goodings.
If it comes to my mind, I'll mention it later in the podcast. Excuse me. Um, my next question is about community response and impact. Are there any particularly are there any particular moments that are memorable to you or impactful moments from past events
From what do you mean, from the
from the
block
block
party?
party? Yeah.
Mm, I believe it was the last block party that we had. It rained and we were still out there in the rain dancing. So the block party is going to be rain or shine. And so also there's a memorable occasion when you had recorded me. I don't even think I knew that you was recording me. And I spoke about how here on Vesta Road, we're committed to making a difference. And we truly are committed to making a difference here on Vesta Road and wherever we show up, because that's what we're called to do. We're called to be servants, and we show up and we serve wherever we go. So that's one of the memorable one of well, that's actually two of the memorable occasions. Also, there what else? I don't know. I know I spoke about the public service vehicles coming, and it just brought tears to my eyes to see the youngsters going up in the vehicles and just experiencing these vehicles in a different light. I'm a very I cry easily, but because there's just such joy in seeing that we can truly make a difference, and not only in our lives but in the lives of others as well.
That's great. That's great. I know that putting these type of events together must be a tall task, and I know that you would like to inspire other individuals to do similar things in their communities. So my next question is, how can individuals and local businesses get involved in supporting advocacy for projects like this and events like the Vesta Road Block Party?
Well, I would like to see more merchants taking the initiative to donate to the block parties. That's one of the things that I would like to see. I would also like to see more of the members of the community getting actively involved, as opposed to just showing up. We need more volunteers. We need more ideas. We need to know what is it that you want to incorporate in the block party, because if you're showing up, we want you to enjoy it as well. So we don't want to do the same thing every year. I remember one year we actually bought a pony, and it was wonderful. Another year we had the K9 dog from the Boston Police. That was an enjoyable occasion for everyone. Everyone loved that. And so, just more community involvement, more involvement of the elected officials, also, not just showing up for, photo op. Show up, to talk to us about what is it that you've accomplished on our behalf. We like to know, what it is that you're doing to help to improve things, and how can we help you to improve things, because we need to know more about civics, so that more people will feel the need to vote, feel like their vote counts.
Yeah, definitely the support on all accounts, from the merchants, from the politicians, from the people in the community, definitely goes a long way, because putting together events like this, I would believe, is a tall task, and without that support, many events like this can't happen.
That's true.
So I'm gonna get into my last couple questions, and these questions are about you and kind of how you stay motivated, and also giving a little bit of motivation. So my first question is, what keeps you motivated and inspired in your work as a community advocate? And can you share a personal story that has influenced you?
Let's see. What keeps me motivated? Just wanting to see greater improvements in our community. Also, when my husband, your father, was alive, this is something that we shared that we would do together, and so he he also inspired me to continue to do the community outreach work. I wasn't always as confident as I am now, and he helped to improve my self esteem. To be honest with you, my confidence, and I remember going to one of the Metco meetings, and I had joined the executive team, and I was very nervous about it. And he was standing far off, um, just watching and just saying, "You can do it. You can do it." And to this very day, I still hear his voice saying, "You can do it, P. You can do it, P." And so, he's been a great inspiration for me, and yes, he's been a great inspiration for me. And as I mentioned, also just growing up in a family who's always been connected to the community, going to the different amusement parks as a child, and the chartered buses, and so all of that contributed to me being motivated, as well as just being a lifelong learner. I'd like to learn, and so whatever I learn, I like to share, and hopefully others will benefit from it as well.
Yeah, that was he's definitely a very inspirational person. I always remember seeing him at my track meet for the first time, and well, the first time at my track meet, um, I ended up having one of my best days as a track athlete. It's always great to have family there to support you, just because it gives you a different kick of energy when you have those that love you there to support and cheer you on, and also having it people in the community teach this, and just being a tradition of a family tradition of making communities great again, making families great again, um, and just pouring into that. So I like that you brought that out. And to wrap up the interview, I always ask individuals to sow a seed of inspiration. Um, do you have any words of advice or any words of inspiration that you can leave with the listeners, just with their everyday life, or if they're trying to do something like you're doing, um, just give them some type of inspiration or motivation to get to the finish line.
I would say to continue to show up, um, be consistent with what you do, and make what you do a priority. Find something that you're passionate about, and even if you start with 5 minutes on the first day, then the next day or the next week you can advance that to 10 minutes, a half hour. But just being consistent and don't quit, no matter
That's a
what.
good word right there. That's a good word. And before we jet out of here, where can people find the block party? Where can they find you in the community? If you could leave some of that information, so if anyone listening wants to tap in or wants to come out and enjoy the block party, um, could you please give them the information so that they can be there?
Okay, the block party is taking place on Saturday, August the 10th, um, 2024, from 2 to 8. Most people show up around 4. And as far as contacting me, you can contact me at my email at DEJUANNAT as in toy, at yahoo.com. And I will definitely follow up with you
All
as it
right.
relates to the block party. We're also asking for donations for the block party. We're expecting about 100 to 150 people. So we would like donations of maybe beverage, or some kind of food, or even finances, so that we can make this a memorable occasion as the past 8 block parties have been.
All right, there, folks. You heard it. This has been another great show, Cultivating Conversations. Mommy, thank you for coming through and giving your share and inspiration and sharing about Vesta Road and your community advocacy. I appreciate this interview a lot. Thank you for supporting. And that's it. We out. Bye
You're
for now.
welcome, son, and I love you.
Love you too.
All right, take care.